Hello, fly tires. Today we're going to tie a two-color foul-proof bunny streamer. First thing I've done is put a heavy piece of mono onto my hook. I've flattened the part that's on the shank, and I've heated the end to create a ball that will stop the thread from sliding off the back of the mono. Now I'm going to reposition my hook in the vise so I can wind my bunny strip. Now what I've done is I brought my thread back beyond the bend and onto the mono, and I've selected this particular fly to have a blue dun colored marabou on top, and the white bunny strip will be the lower color. Stripped off some marabou, I've moistened it, and I've put a little bit of crystal flash in with it. And I'm going to tie this on with the tips facing toward the eye for the time being. I'll flip this over after. If I pointed it towards the rear, it would just get in the way. So I tie the marabou on, make sure that it's going to reach where I want it to reach. I'm happy with that, and I lock it in. And then I'm going to advance my thread. Here's the zonker strip that I'm going to use. Standard zonker strip, very flexible hide and a very thin hide with plenty of movement. I've separated the hair to create a notch where I'm going to tie it in. And I'm going to tie this in with a loose wrap, the first one. I'm going to try to get that hide so it sits on that mono. And then I'm going to just tug back on that. So now I'm right up against the ball with my wraps of mono that I've created that stop. And I'm just a little bit fussy here. I want to make sure that it stays so that when I'm finished that hide is facing down in line with the hook point itself. Now I'm going to take another piece of marabou. This one I'm going to have the tips face the rear towards the tail. I've moistened it. It makes it much easier to work with. I have some flash glue in it also. You don't have to put the flash in. I'm just showing you how you can incorporate flash and marabou. I'm going to lock this in and make sure that that's right up on top of the bunny strip. That's going to be my tail. Once I'm happy with that, I lock it in with some real good firm wraps. And I'm just going to trim off that extra marabou that I had, otherwise it'd create a lump when I wind the rabbit strip forward. Now I get everything out of the way, and I'm going to advance my thread. I'm actually using fine monofilament right now. I'm going to advance my thread, I'll call it, up to the eye of the hook where I'm going to eventually wrap and end up a bunny strip. Next thing I want to do is sort of preen these hairs on the hide to the rear so that when I wrap them they don't get stuck on the super glue that I'm going to use to fasten the hide to the monofilament. So I took a little bit of a half a turn here and I preen them backwards like you would a hackle, soft hackle. It's almost like folding hackle. And I'm going to put a good group of crazy glue in here. And I only do a little bit at a time. Now I'm going to wrap forward, just butting them up to each other. I'm not overlapping at all. One right against the other. And don't worry about how it looks right now, because when you're done you're going to comb all those hairs out. But as long as they're leaning backwards somewhat, you're in good shape. They're not going to get tied down into the glue. So now I'll just work with another 3 or 4 inch section and try to get them out of the way. Now I'm going to take my marabou that's going to lean back, and I'm going to pull that back and keep it back under a wrap. And that's going to match up with the marabou that I had over the tail section. Get the hairs in the direction I want. And I'm going to put another glob of crazy glue on there. And now I'm tucking this wrap right underneath the hook bend and the mono. And this one is now I'm wrapping over the shank. All the other wraps were over the mono, and I'm going to continue this repetitively right up to the eye. Keeping pretty good tension on it, making sure that it gets pulled into the glue. I'm really making sure that they're butting up against each other, and I am applying some pretty good tension on that hide. Now I'm going to reposition the hook once again to the original position, a normal position if you will. And you can see what I have in the rear of the fly. I have that nice blue dun color over the back. I'm going to trim the excess and lock in that edge section. Now you want to make sure you pick everything out and stroke it to the rear. Gives you that nice full body, if that's what you're trying to imitate. Total length of the fly is going to be about 5 inches when I'm done. And here's my last piece of marabou. I'm going to tie that on so that it reaches the one that I just tied on. And these will just give you a top color or a bicolored bunny fly. This nice light gray or bluish gray, I like it. The color of herring. And a little bit of, I believe it's gray ghost crystal flash in there just for a little bit of sparkle. Nice little small head, and eventually you'll tie an eye and put eyes on this. I like the doll's eyes. I use goop to put them on. I'll comb everything backwards and try to get as close to the hide as possible when I'm gluing those on. And they really make the fly come alive. An old toothbrush I have hanging around my bench. Helps comb everything out. And you can see what we've developed there. We've got a nice flowing fly. All the materials are pretty much the same. A lot of movement in this fly, even when it's just sitting in the current. You don't have to do much. That mono does two things. It extends that shank, gives me a longer body section, and it keeps that tail from wrapping around the bend of that hook. Here's the top of the fly, what you're looking at. Nice body, nice long tail that will not get all the way around that bend. I hope you enjoyed it.